Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Google Places, Strategies to Maximize Your Leads. My name is Eliana Raggio and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. And for anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning websites. DealerOn was named the top-rated website provider by Driving Sales in 2012 and 2013, and DealerOn customers were winners of the Spring and Fall 2012 Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards, including the highly coveted overall winner. And recently at NADA, DealerOn also received the Best in Show Award for Website Design from Dealer Marketing Magazine. DealerOn is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that we're the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So does your website company guarantee you leads? Well, then maybe you should check us out at DealerOn.com. And you can also catch DealerOn at the upcoming eDealer Summit in Minneapolis on April 10th alongside other amazing speakers such as Grant Cardone and Peter Lito from Google. For more information, you can check out eDealerSummit.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We had a last-minute presenter change, and we're very pleased to have Chris Deringer as our presenter today. Chris Deringer is the Vice President of Marketing at DealerOn, Inc., with 12 years of digital marketing optimization experience and success. Chris is an expert in all aspects of online marketing and e-commerce, including SEO, paid search, conversion optimization, web analytics, A/B and multivariate website testing. And Chris came to DealerOn from Network Solutions, the domain name, website, email, and online marketing company for small businesses, where he spent 7 years helping lead the online marketing strategy and analytics area. Chris is a Google AdWords and Google Analytics certified expert, a 2012 Mobile Web Awards judge, and a past member of the Web Analytics Association. Chris keeps up to date with all advancements regarding Google, Google Analytics, and Google AdWords, and he can be reached at chris@dealeron.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the questions feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to respond by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of the webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And we have a really cool prize today for one lucky attendee. What is it? It's a 1-year subscription to Yext, a local citation directory service, and it's valued at $500. Don't worry if you've never heard of Yext. You're going to find out a lot more about it in just a few minutes during the presentation. But I'm going to let you know you have to be on the live broadcast to win it. All you have to do is stay tuned for the details after Chris's presentation. And also, at the conclusion of this webinar today, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. And today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn about Google Places and strategies to maximize your leads. Chris Deringer, how are you today?
I am fantastic, Eliana. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good, and I cannot believe we are finally doing this webinar. You know, every week, Chris, you know this more than anyone, I ask my attendees, I ask people who come to our webinars, tell me what topics interest you most, what subject you want to hear about. There is not one topic that I have received more than I have this one. Everyone wants to know more about Google Places, Google Logo, Google Maps, and how to make it better and stronger and more effective. And I am so excited that we're finally doing this webinar and can't believe this day is finally here. What are we going to be learning about today?
Well, Eliana, I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and I think it is appropriate that people have been so interested because as we're going to be talking about Google Places, Google plus local is extremely important and is going to be becoming more important going forward. So today we're going to be talking about why it's so important, why it's going to become more important in the future. We're going to talk about how you need to set up and optimize your places listing. And some of the advice here is going to be different and have changed from times that people may have either heard other people in the automotive industry or even people outside of the automotive industry talk about some of these things in the past. As you alluded to earlier, Google has done a number of things in just the last couple of months that dealers need to be aware of, because if they aren't, it could really damage their results. Finally, we're going to be talking about some strategies to maximize your place's leads, the amount of traffic that you get to your website from your place's listings, the number of calls that are coming in, and some additional techniques and resources that you should at least be aware of that you can use to further optimize the amount of qualified traffic that comes to your dealership as a result of your place's listings. And then we'll follow that up with a Q&A session in case I haven't covered absolutely everything that people might want to know about Google Places.
That all sounds great, and I know we have so much to get to because you have a lot of ground to cover when it comes to Google Places. So where are we starting?
Well, Eliana, I think I had given you a poll question. I just wanted to be able to gauge sort of the people on the call and what their experience has been with Google Places over time and how sophisticated they are. So if you wanted to pop that poll question up.
I think that's a great idea. Okay, audience, we're starting early with a poll question. We need your help. We want you to describe to us your dealership's current usage of Google Places. Please select one of the following options. So, are you maybe not sure if you've claimed your Google Places page? Or maybe you know for a fact you've claimed your page, but you're not sure if you've completed it 100%. Hey, maybe you know you've claimed it and you've completed it, but you're not sure if it's totally optimized. And maybe you've claimed it, you've completed it, and you've optimized it, but hey, you're always hunting for new strategies on making it better, and that's why you're here today. Whatever it is, we want to know. Once we get a majority of the votes in, then we'll close the poll, and we'll share the results, and we'll send Chris on his way to giving us some more information about Google Places. And thank you so much, everyone, for all of your votes. Boy, oh boy, almost everyone's voted at this point. Boy, we really appreciate it. Chris, are you ready for this?
I am.
Well, guess what? Votes are still coming in. Maybe I'll hold off just another second or two. And again, I want to thank you all for your votes and getting involved. We really appreciate it. Let's close this poll and share the results. So, Chris, so you know, 37% of today's audience said it's all done, but they're always hunting for new strategy. An equally awesome amount of our audience, another 37%, said that they've claimed it, completed it, but they're just not sure if it's actually optimized yet.
Excellent.
12% said that they claimed their place, but they haven't completed it, and 14% said they're not even sure if they've claimed it. But that's what we have going on today in today's audience. Is that what you expected?
You know what? That is very similar to what I find when I talk to dealers. At this point, it looks like probably 80 to 90% of dealers have claimed their place's listing, which is extremely important, as we're about to get into. And I would guess that probably 50% of dealers have not actually completed their place's listing. And again, we're going to discuss why that is so important. And I do see about 20 to 25% would have been my estimate who've completed everything. And clearly, we have a little more sophisticated, cutting-edge audience on our webinars than you see in the general dealer population. So it really doesn't surprise me that we've got 37% of folks who've already completed it, but are still looking for some additional tips.
Excellent.
So I want to sort of start by making sure that for the few people who have not claimed their listing or aren't sure whether they have or haven't completed it, that we focus on exactly what we're talking about from a consumer's perspective for your place's listing. So no matter what your dealership is, if you have any online presence at all and you Google your dealership's name, you're going to find your primary website and you're going to see the places listing, which I've highlighted here. And we are always going to see, and we're going to be coming back to this repeatedly over the course of this webinar, the dealership's name, the business name right here, the address and the phone number. They're shown right here below the listing with the little Google pin, and then the map is listed over here and photos of the dealership here. Additionally, we've got the hours of operation, which you can see more days if you want to. If you click on the reviews, you come over to their primary Google Places listing, which we're going to get to in just a second. But then this is all the information that Google thinks that a consumer would need to instantly know about your dealership. It includes the number of certified Google reviews that you've gotten and your overall review score. Now, the score is probably a bit confusing for people who aren't familiar with it. This is on a scale of 30, which is a scale that Google adapted from Zagat when they bought Zagat out, I think it was last year. Anything from 26 to 30 is considered extraordinary and close to perfection. 21 to 25 is considered very good or excellent. So take a look at where your reviews are right now. And again, we're going to be coming back to reviews and the importance of reviews repeatedly over the course of the next hour. So if I do click on the Google Reviews link here, I come to the dealer's primary Google Places detail. So some of the information that you're going to notice here is, again, the name of my dealership, the address, the phone number, the URL of the associated website, a couple of the categories, and we're going to get into setting up your categories, a couple of the categories that the dealer has selected. It's hours of operation today. We see the photos. Now, this looks a little bit different if you've combined it with your Google Plus page, and we're going to discuss the differences there toward the end of the webinar today. It also shows the 327 reviews that I've gotten. So a consumer is readily able to see how verified Google Plus users have rated my dealership. Now, I think that everyone understands how important Google Places is because they're on the webinar. But for anybody who isn't absolutely sure that you're spending your next hour correctly, Google has stated, and this grows every year, that at this point, 1 in 3 searches done on Google has local intent. And there are 3 main reasons that this is the case and that it grows every day. The first is consumer behavior and their expectations. People are now used to using Google not just as a reference for looking up factual data, but also for getting recommendations on local products, services, local merchants, even doing things like researching illnesses for their kids and how other people cure them. So it's not simply about just looking up factual detail. It's also about looking up information that you can get from other people who are in similar situations to one that you find yourself in. And that can potentially be buying a car or servicing a vehicle somewhere in their area. The second thing that has increased the number of searches that Google is declaring have local intent is simply Google's evolution as a search engine. Now, these are the search results that I get when I search for a Nissan dealership from my office. We are located just outside of Washington, D.C. Now, if I had taken a screenshot of what my results would have looked like 5 years ago, before the Venice update and before Places really became integrated into Google search results, I would have seen Nissan. I would have seen, I would have probably seen Motor Trend. I would have seen Edmunds. This page would have looked radically different because it would have been people who are ranking well for Nissan dealer across the United States. Domains that were more powerful than any others for a national audience. But fast forward to today, and Google has recognized that when I am looking for a Nissan dealer, I am looking for dealers who are close to where I am actually doing my search from. So not only do they show a couple of links from Nissan's dealership locator, national site. But then they show 7 local dealers. This is called the Local 7 pack for Google search results. It has the 7 dealers listed here, and again, it shows the score that that people who've reviewed them have given their dealership, the number of reviews that they've gotten, and if they have combined their places with their Google Plus page, it allows them to access the Google Plus page directly here. Additionally, it has the little map up here that shows where the dealerships are relative to where I am right now. The third reason is that now we have access to Google and the internet basically 24/7. At this point, and this percentage was 40% 1 year ago, at this point 50% of all searches done on a mobile device show local intent from Google's perspective. So if someone does 100 searches on their mobile phone during the course of the day, 50 of them are about local merchants or local problems that they are trying to solve. This number goes up every single month. So the combination of the connectivity and how people are learning to search and research local merchants is what is driving this growth. And it's going to keep going. In fact, and it's particularly important for automotive, of the top 10 highest trafficked local search categories, and this comes from the Yellow Pages Online, yp.com, 3 of the top 10 are categories that every car dealer in the country is going to be providing service for. Number 2 is auto parts, auto repair and service, and vehicle sales. So now we're going to talk about why Google is evolving this. Again, it is to get the consumer the information that they need faster and faster. You know, Google's primary concern is that they become the de facto place that anyone looking for this kind of information is going to go. You've seen Bing, you've seen some of the other alternatives to Google as a local search engine, focusing more and more on the results that and the quality of the results that they provide. And so this is why Google is so focused on ensuring that they are getting consumers to the results as fast as they can. And again, as we talked about before, the Google results for simply Nissan dealer now show the actual Nissan dealerships as opposed to just nationwide websites that are optimized for Nissan dealer. And as I was saying before, for every dealer in the country, your top organic search phrase is the name of your dealership. And remember that every person who Googles you from now forever is going to see your reviews and the review score, the number that you have, and the quality of your reviews. It is impossible, basically, for those people to get to your website without seeing that information first. In addition to your reviews and your places listing just helping you show up in search results, this was a study done about 15 months ago by a company called SEO Moz. They're a leading SEO company across all industries. So they commissioned an eye tracking study that showed where people who are presented natural search result links, which we see up here, and local search and local links, where they focus their attention. So what we're seeing here is that even though the local 7 pack doesn't start until the 4th listing on the page, it gets dramatically more attention than the higher ranking, and I'll put that in quotes, the higher ranking organic listings related to the consumer search. So it's not just about getting as far up the page as you can, but it's about getting clicks and calls, traffic to your website. You are much more likely to be getting interaction with your dealership if you have a local listing with your reviews, with the knowledge that Google has verified your place of business. You are much more likely to get a consumer to interact with your dealership than if you simply have one of the top organic listings. That's an important thing to know. It's not purely about ranking, it's about traffic, phone calls, and the quality of those. So now that we sort of discussed why it is so important to optimize your Google Places listings and the benefits when you do it, let's talk about how we actually go through and set them up. If anybody isn't familiar with Google Places, when you log into Google Places, if you have more than one, you'll be allowed to choose which particular place listing you want to go into. But this is basically your home screen. Google provides you with some information about the number of impressions and the types of actions that your Places listing is getting. It allows you to look at this stuff over time. It shows you the top search queries that your particular dealership is showing up for. It provides you with a nice summary of how your Google Places listing is currently set up. And again, when we talk about having your Places listing complete, Google will give you your completion rate. So when we were talking before about having your Places listing 100% complete, this is where you find out whether it actually is or not. If it's not, and you want to go into edit it, then you click right here, and all of a sudden you are editing your Google Places listing. So I would like to go through sort of a checklist of best practices, and a couple of these things are different from what you have probably heard before, and they have become, and the best practice advice has become materially different within the last couple months. So the first thing we want to make sure that we do is we have our name, the name of the business, the address, and the phone number correct. That's extremely important, and again, I'm going to be emphasizing the name, address, and phone number repeatedly throughout this. It is best to use a local phone number and the phone number that appears on your dealership website. I know that some of the sophisticated dealers out there are using 800 tracking numbers. You want to know how many calls are coming out of your Google Places listing. I want to emphasize that this is one of the key things that Google looks for in terms of validating that you are a local merchant serving that particular area and that your Places listing ties out to your website. Google is looking for a local phone number and the same local phone number that appears on your website. And I want to point out that even if the number of calls that you're receiving from your Places listing goes up or down, you are not spending any money. This is a completely free service that Google provides. So it's not like you're going to be putting more or less resources or money against Google Places if your calls go up or down. So I think that you should evaluate whether you're actually getting any benefit from tracking the number of calls if you're using an 800 tracking number. Even if you're using a local tracking number, if it's different from the one on your website, again, you want to reconsider, and the ideal from a Google Places optimization perspective is to have the same local phone number show up here as shows up across your website. The second thing we want to do is the preferred optimization technique is to include an email address that is associated with the domain associated with the Places listing. I know that many dealers don't have this. I have not actually seen data that supports that this is the case, but recently there have been some posts coming out that this is a favored practice by Google. The next thing we want to make sure that we do is that we fill in our business information's description. This is one of the few areas in Google Places where a dealer has a fair amount of discretion as to what they want to type in. You want to make sure that you've got the primary geographies or, well, both geographies and services that you are targeting in this listing. And we're going to see that this is one of the few places within Places where I'm going to advocate that you include geographies that you may not be exactly located in and services that may not fit perfectly into one of Google's categories. So this is the place to do it. You've got 200 characters. Make sure that you've got the primary geography that your dealership is targeting, the primary the primary manufacturers that that are associated with your dealership, and any other ancillary services that you want that don't fit particularly into one of these categories. You want to make sure that your hours are set as well. Google frequently for mobile devices will provide users with the opportunity to choose whether they want to be shown results for people who are currently open or not. Google will not know if you're open or not if you don't tell them that you're open. The next thing is categories. Now, in the past, I know that we have customers who have provided additional information beyond Google's standard category choices. They have provided geographic terms in here. Some of them may even have information about how they are the best Chevy dealer, or the top-rated Honda dealer, or the Dallas Honda dealer. Google, I'm going to cover this in a little bit more detail later, but you want to make sure that you are using some of the default categories that Google has provided. Google was granted a patent within the last 3 months that suggests that they are going to be going after people who are spamming these category choices, and we're going to get into that in a little more detail later. I would recommend that if you are, for instance, a Nissan dealer, that unless you have good reason to use other category choices, that you target Nissan dealer, car dealer, used car dealer, parts and repair shop. If you are, if you have some other services, if your website provides both Chrysler and Dodge, and you want to choose both of those, I suggest that you do, and that you perhaps don't have auto parts store. But I absolutely recommend that you use Google's default choices as you select your categories, and you do not put any geographic terms in here, and you do not put any sort of marketing terms in here, like best or top rated. Your service area. So there are two schools of thought on service area for dealers, and I don't have information to support that Google may be going after anybody who is perhaps in their eyes spamming this. Dealers serve customers at their location. I would recommend generally that people choose no, we serve all customers at our business location. Obviously, dealers also can deliver vehicles to some of their consumers, so I can see the argument for instead choosing yes, we serve customers at their location. If you do this and you want to select a radius or specific cities that you want to target, I have not seen dealers specifically get banned for doing this, but I don't have good data either way on that. So I'm going to suggest that Google is going to become more and more vigilant about cracking down on any deviations from their default choices. So I'm not going to suggest that you say yes, we serve customers at their locations, and then highlight some of the further away geographies that you want to target, but that option is available to you. Again, make sure that you choose your hours of operation, select your payment options, all that are applicable to your dealership. Next, we want to make sure Google gives us an opportunity to put in up to 10 photos for our places listing. I suggest that everyone do this. I believe that you only need 5 to come to 100% complete for your listing. I will double check myself on that, but regardless, I would suggest that you have 10. You also want to, where you can, make sure that you have photos that show your dealership, your customers, information about your brand as opposed to a particular vehicle, because obviously vehicles, your inventory will churn. If you've got screen caps of your commercials, again, I would suggest that you focus more on things that are a little bit more timeless, like like a customer receiving a great experience at your dealership, or beautiful photos of your service department. things that are not going to be different or look weird when someone comes to your site 8 months from now and you haven't changed out your photos in that long. Your videos, same sort of thing. Get testimonials or get general video about your dealership and why you're so great. Avoid your commercials. I know a lot of dealers, they have their videos handy to them within YouTube. Where you can, resist the temptation to do that. You know, commercials frequently are seasonal, so you may have videos that are going to be up here for 18 months. I don't know how often people are policing the videos that they have uploaded to their Places page, but again, try and get customer testimonials. Those are fairly timeless, and you've got to remember, you've got a consumer here who's looking at your Places page, and you want to make them know that someone who is in exactly the same position as they were 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a year ago, deciding whether or not to come to your dealership and service their vehicle or buy a car, someone was in exactly the same position that you are now, or that the consumer is right now, doing research, and they had an awesome experience. Finally, additional details. Google provides additional details, and it's not clear currently whether they actually incorporate this at all into their ranking algorithm. They don't show it, or at least I haven't seen it shown in quite a while, so I'm not sure that they're displaying it any longer to consumers. What I typically recommend is if you, for instance, if you're a Toyota dealer and you also sell Scion, well, Scion dealer is not one of the default choices for Google's category. This is a great place to append that information about your dealership, that you also sell Scion. If you provide free loaner cars, if you've got, if you are very proud of your ASE certified technicians, this again a great place to put that information in, without it being, without it ringing bells to Google that there's any sort of spam here. I have seen businesses both in the automotive space and outside of it cramming keywords, geographic keywords in here. Again, I don't know that Google even incorporates the additional details into their algorithm, their Places algorithm any longer. What I can say is that they have taken a number of steps in the last few months that indicate that they are going to become much more vigilant in policing all the information that's in a Places listing. So let's get into a few ranking factors. I'm not going to just sit here and read off this list. What I will do is say that these are 10 of the most important Google Places ranking factors, and I'm going to give you a few resources to research over the course of the next 20 minutes or so. David Mim, this gentleman right here, he's actually created a company called getlisted.org, which was recently bought by SEO Moz, the company that we were referencing a little earlier with the eye tracking study. Anyway, David surveys about 100 SEO experts across all sorts of verticals who are focused on local search optimization. He puts an annual report together, publishes it every July with the most important, based on the survey of these SEO experts, the most important ranking factors for not only general local search but also Google Places. These are 10 of the most important factors that have come out of his survey. If you just Google David Mim local search ranking factor survey, you will readily be able to find it. It's a fantastic resource. I'm trying to think if there's, again, one of them is the numerical percentage of your place page completeness. Before, when we were talking about ensuring that it's 100% done, this is a study that indicated that that was at least one of the top 10 factors. So before, when I was talking about Places category spam, I alluded to that Google appears to be in a position where they're going to start policing this more heavily, more vigilantly than they have in the past. In December of 2012, Google was actually granted a patent by the U.S. Patent Office to do exactly this. This is quoted directly from the patent. It talks about how Google will be identifying businesses that are incorporating information into perhaps a category listing, the context of the business entity, that could be described from Google's perspective as spam. For instance, if the text contains something like the best manufacturer of widgets, if you're the best Toyota dealer, if you are the top rated, whatever description that you're providing that doesn't fit the ones that Google is providing you as default listings potentially could be described as spam. And as I said, with this patent, it is clear in my mind that Google will be addressing this over the next few months. So now that we've talked about how to optimize your places listing itself, some of the changes that have come about that you want to make sure that you're aware of, let's talk about some of the non-Google places things that you can control that influence how you show up for Google Places. We're going to be talking about naps. Again, as we were going through the Google Places setup, I was emphasizing the name, the address, and the phone number of your dealership, the NAP. This has become very similar to link from a local citation perspective. In the old days, we used to try to earn links or build links, whatever appropriate verb you want to use for getting inbound links to our site. And of course, in the old SEO days, we were all focused on getting the links to use the anchor text of exactly the search terms we wanted to optimize for. In the case of a Washington, D.C. area Nissan dealer, we wanted all of our inbound links to have the anchor text Washington, D.C. Nissan dealer. Google has basically come out and said that with their Panda and Penguin releases that they're targeting this sort of unnatural looking inbound link strategy, which is neither here nor there. I want to make the analogy that the Google Places equivalent is citations. Again, the name, address, and phone number. So these are some of the local directories that Google Places relies on to validate that the information that you have put into your Google Places listing is correct. So Google will go out and look at what name, address, and phone numbers show up in Yelp, Merchant Circle, Bing, Yahoo Local, City Search. There are dozens of these, and they all appear to be sources for Google to ensure that the quality of the information that you're putting into your places listing is accurate. As I was saying before, David Mim of getlisted.org, who just joined SEO Moz in the last couple of months, he had put together this fantastic infographic that sort of gives you a picture of the complexity but also the thoroughness that Google uses when they are validating that the information in your Places page is correct across all of these local directories. So it's a bit overwhelming. There are a lot of them, but fortunately there are also lists of them that we can check. As Eliana mentioned before, we're going to be giving away a one-year subscription to a company called Yext. Yext provides if you go to yext.com and put in your dealership name and your phone number, Yext will actually spit out a report that shows the business name associated with your business, the address and the phone number associated with them in Yahoo, Yelp. You can see they've probably got 3 or 4 dozen of these that they validate against. They also have some information about whether you're standing out or whether you have photos. These would be great to have for all of these places. They aren't nearly as important as ensuring that the business name that you're operating under, the address that's associated with that business, and the phone number associated with that business are not only uniform, but they match your website and they match your Google Places listing. So as I was talking about before, Google has indicated that they're now going to be going after businesses, dealerships, any local merchants that are possibly violating or spamming their category choices. They're also suggesting that they are going to be researching all of these directories, these local directories that you can go and put your information in, and they're going to be crawling them and looking for spam. Same patent, I believe. I quite frankly didn't double check the patent number, but I believe it's the same patent. Google that again Google was granted in December, they're indicating that they are going to be looking at other local directories and finding out whether the information about your business, for instance, the category choices that you're making in these other directories, match up with the ones that you have chosen in Google. So if you have followed my advice and you have used Google's default category choices, so you've got Nissan dealer instead of Washington, D.C. Nissan dealer, instead of best Nissan dealer, Google is going to be comparing that category choice with the choices that you're making in all of these citation directories. So if you've got best Nissan dealer in city search, Google is going to potentially flag that. That's what this is indicating, that they're going to be looking to see whether their trusted information matches with other sources. And if it doesn't, perhaps these become untrusted sources. So if it doesn't match up with your Google Places or with what Google believes is a reputable and likely and credible description of the categories that your dealership operates in, then they may not, they may just completely discount your listing. So you may not get credit for the fact that you have gone through and updated your dealership's information across 40 or 50 of these local directories. So again, consider trying to use the category choices that you make in your Google Places listing across all of these citations, all of these local directories as you fill them out. Some other Google Places ranking factors. Again, our good friend David Mim has, in that same survey, again, that he put out in July of 2012, and hopefully he'll be putting out in July of 2013, these are some of the local factors that influence how your Google Places listing shows up in Google's results that come from your website. Obviously, the domain authority of your website, whether you have a local phone number on your website, and whether that local phone number matches your Google Places listing. So again, I don't want to read off all of these things, but if you want a copy of the presentation afterwards, just email myself. I'm Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at DealerOn.com, or email Eliana, and we can get you a copy of this. And please do yourself a service and go check out David Mim's survey as well. Building local citations. So in addition to filling out all these directories, we also want to get other places that have local authority to talk about our dealership and get a mention of our name, address, phone number, our NAP, on local credible sources for information about dealerships in the location that we're operating. A great way of doing this is if you've got a WordPress blog on your dealership, hopefully not on a subdomain or on a secondary website, but within your dealership website, have someone who, have another local merchant do a guest post. And they may link back to, and you can even ask them to link back to their post on your blog from their website. You can post on their website as well and get the same sort of value. There are dozens, so Yext and GetListed.org have a number of national directories that provide local business information. Additionally, there are local business directories. Your local chamber of commerce. There are a number of places that if you just Google your local area and business directories, there are going to be business directories that are literally local to you. Local media. If you're spending money on radio, TV, or in a newspaper, and they can help you out with providing, even if they don't provide you a link, if they provide a mention of your dealership, and when they do include your address and your phone number, again, that becomes another citation that validates that the information that you have put into your Google Places is accurate and credible. Another interesting idea is if you can host, if you're hosting an event, if you're doing anything for charity, if you're doing something off-site that's pretty cool that gets publicity for your dealership, reach out to your local newspaper and just see if they'll put it in as a local event. In my immediate area where I live, we have a number of these different local newspapers that are also, just dying for content that would definitely put something in there about a local event that a dealership in our area was hosting. Video sharing sites. So we've already talked about how you're going to have 5 videos that you're going to put up on in your Google Places. Make sure that you upload those to other video sharing sites, and when you do, include your NAP in the description of the video. Another resource, and I can either, if somebody emails me, I can get this information for them. If you just Google getlisted.org and whitespark.ca, they have put together a listing of local directories based on where you are. So if you just click on one of these little blue map points, it'll pop up maybe 10 to 15 local citation directories that you can go to based on your location. Now I want to talk about Google reviews. We talked about how important it was, how vital it is that anyone who is Googling your business name is now going to see the number of reviews that you have and the quality of those reviews. In the past, people in our industry have suggested, with Google's blessing, quite frankly, I'm not saying that they were wrong to do this, to put an iPad or some device in your dealership, a review station, a kiosk, so that you can solicit Google reviews on your premises. Google has specifically come out in the last, I want to say, couple months and said that this is considered review spam. I'm literally quoting from Google's review policy right here, the upper part of this. That is not considered appropriate any longer. If you have, I want to stress this is probably obvious to everyone, but I want to stress why you don't want to do this. Having an employee or the business owner review your business, obviously, I'm not sure if anyone ever thought that would not be considered spam by Google, but just remember, all of your employees now, as they're interacting online, they build up social profiles. There is no one on the planet that has more information about the social profiles that they're building up than Google does. Google is going to readily be able to detect if one of your employees is reviewing your dealership. They are going to, unless you employ a bunch of SEO experts in your internet department, you are going to have people who aren't aware of how sophisticated Google is, and they are going to leave a social trail, and Google is going to be able to associate that with your reviews. Now, it may be that Google just discounts that review, but one thing that we've seen with Google is that they are not surgeons when they decide to remove reviews. Google has a hammer, and reviews look like nails, and so if they detect that you have a few reviews that may be suspicious, may obviously be spam, Google may punish you a lot more dramatically than you probably feel is warranted, or maybe than is warranted. So be extremely careful about the reviews that you get. Google does, I'm sorry, Eliana.
No, I was just going to interrupt. This goes against everything that dealers have been being told, at least for the last year, maybe 2 years, that we could set up these review stations, have a kiosk, have our own iPad. What are dealers supposed to do now?
So what Google actually says, they've got this in their policy area right now, and this is one of those things that we should come back and do a Google Places update periodically, because, as I said, Google was literally endorsing this iPad review system before. Now Google's policy is considered printing out a QR code, sending a reminder email. Their goal is not for you to not ask customers to review you. Google considers that very important. They want as many people, as many consumers, to provide valid reviews of your dealership as possible. They just don't want you to be unduly influencing the reviews that you get.
And I should also mention one of our illustrious attendees today, Ray Fenster. He wrote in, reviews by an employee is also an FTC violation. Okay, so all of a sudden writing a review for the people that you work for is all of a sudden getting very, very, very tricky.
Yeah, it's something that we need to be very careful about. Again, Google has in the past, when they have flagged things for spam, I think every dealer is aware of how they've handled other review sites, and particularly when they thought that they were spammy. Google acts pretty aggressively, and they're like a bull in a china shop frequently, and so we need to be very cognizant of that. So I know that we're getting a little short on time. I did want to emphasize a few things with regard to mobile and Google Plus for local. As I was saying before, mobile, 1 in 2 mobile searches now has local intent. And mobile is growing so quickly that within the next 18 months, it is predicted that the number of local searches done on a mobile device will outpace the number of local searches done on a desktop computer. That is huge. If you are not aware of how your dealership's places page looks on a mobile device, and remember, every time someone Googles your dealership name, which is by far the primary way that anyone finds your dealership online, they will see your places page. So make sure that you understand the consumer experience when someone does that. This is someone who has Googled Hare Chevrolet. You can see that Hare has a fantastic number of reviews. They have a great score. If I'm on a mobile device, this is what I see about Hare. If I click on this big blue link for Hare, I do not go to their website. If I click on this call button, I start calling Hare. I do not go to their website. If I click on directions, I of course go straight into Google Maps showing how to get from wherever I am to Hare Chevrolet. It's only if I click on this link that I actually go to Hare's website. Remember, in 18 months, this is going to be the principal way that people are going to be finding your dealership online. So if you don't have great reviews, if you don't have a fair number of them, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. This is your de facto homepage for probably 20% of all consumers in a year or two. If I do click on, again, if I do click Hare Chevrolet, I end up getting this places listing where it shows, again, gives me the ability to call directly to the dealership or get directions in Google Maps, or I can literally go through every review that's been posted to Google. I get the hours as well. It is only if I click here that I actually end up at the dealership website. So let's talk a little bit about Google local places and how we can handle the two of them. If you don't know whether or not you have already created you've already merged your Google Plus and Google Places, then this is an easy way of figuring it out. If you go to your Google Places listing and you have videos, posts, photos, and about, then you have a Google Plus local listing. You have combined someone associated with your dealership, hopefully someone who is like the GM or a dealer principal. Someone's Google Plus profile is associated with your business and with your place. Now, what is great about this is that now you're able to interact with everybody who is providing you with a review. You can see here the GM has responded to someone who has reviewed them. Maybe someone who didn't get a perfect experience but still rated them as good on quality, appeal, and service. The GM made a great little response about the consumer's experience. The consumer then knows that you are on top of your dealership, that you care. Like I said, it is critical that dealers understand that the number of reviews and the quality of those reviews is becoming more important every day. Matt Cutts actually said something at South by Southwest last week, last Saturday, I think. I don't want to specifically quote him, but if you Google Matt Cutts South by Southwest March 9th, you can probably find it. he indicated that over the course of the next few months, Google potentially could be changing their optimization algorithm based on how consumers were interacting with merchants and how they rated merchants. So it is clear that Google is, and it was particularly, I think, with regard to local merchants who may be who may have a lot of conflict. So it wasn't ones who are looking out for the consumer, but the consumer, for whatever reason, just didn't have the perfect experience. It was more geared towards merchants who are perhaps ripping off or doing damage to consumers that, you know, Matt was sort of indicating that those folks may receive some sort of penalty, and Google may not be as inclined to show them. Anyway, I don't want to quote the specifics because I didn't write it down, but it was just within the last week or so, Matt Cutts at South by Southwest. So, if you decide to merge your Google Places and your Google Plus accounts, make sure that the person who is merging them is someone who has some position of authority at the dealership. You don't want anybody who might not be at the dealership 3 months from now to be managing that. Also, plenty of people have had challenges with doing this over the last few months. If you want to email me if you're considering doing it and you haven't done it already, again, it does have tons of benefits. You just need to be careful about how you set it up. And maybe we'll do a webinar in the future about the best way of streamlining and managing that process. But if you have particular concern there and you want to shoot me an email, I can send over some links and some resources for how best to manage that process. Eliana, I think that that I've probably been speaking too long without interruption. So.
Well, I got to tell you, you did a fabulous job, and we have a ton of really, really great questions from the audience. So we're going to get to those in just a minute. Audience, stay right where you are. Before we get to those questions, though, we have a little bit of business to take care of, because now that the entire audience knows about Yext, I think it's time we give away that prize. So if you were with us at the top of the show, you heard me announce that we at DealerOn are giving away a really cool prize today to one lucky attendee. So one of you out there in webinar land is going to win a 1-year subscription for their dealership to Yext. Yext is a local citation directory service, and their product suite allows businesses to digitize their location information and manage addresses, photos, rich content lists, and more for every location. Now, Yext works with dozens of search engines and listing directories and mapping services, and they're going to be able to connect your dealership with more than 150 million users. And it's a $500 value. Yes, I know. People are writing in, pick me, me. I gotcha. Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to ask a simple question about the presentation. We're going to ask a simple question. It was about something that Chris covered earlier. And the first one to write in the correct response is going to be walking away with this totally cool prize today. So everyone, get in front of your screens, get in front of your keyboards, get your mouse ready, put your thinking caps on, go back into your Wayback Machine. Good luck, everyone. Here's the question. First one to write in the correct response wins. This is not an easy question, Chris.
You just go with whoever's closest.
Whoever's closest. Okay. Here's the question. What percentage of mobile local searches actually results in a phone call? What percentage of mobile local searches actually results in a phone call? He said it, in my opinion, a little quick. We have a lot of guesses coming in. I haven't seen anyone with the exact right. Yeah, I saw a couple people that were close. Didn't see anyone with the exact right guess just yet. So if you want, guess again. Sure, I don't care. What percentage of mobile local searches results in a phone call? Okay, we have a winner. We have a winner. winner, you can stop writing in. I do appreciate all of the guesses, though. Wow, you guys guessed a lot. I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, I'm just going to make sure we didn't have anyone who was closer. Okay, the people are writing in, I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I appreciate it. Okay, did anyone guess the exact right? No, no one guessed the exact right, but I'm going to take the closest to it. The exact correct answer was 61%. But our first closest guesser was Eric Jolin. I don't know how to say your last name, Eric. I know you come to a lot of my webinars, and I appreciate it. Eric was the first person to write in, 60%. So I'm going to take that and run with it. Eric, congratulations. 60%. Eric, write in and tell me what your dealership is. Congratulations. Eric, I know I totally butchered your last name and I apologize. What dealership are you with so I can give you a proper send-off? Okay, it's Mills Automotive Group. Eric, congratulations on that. And thank you everyone for your participation in our little question here. And we're going to get started with some really great questions from the audience. Eric, if you could, write to me and give me your mailing address. I don't know if I need it, but send it to me anyway. And yes, we are going to have. Hello? Is everyone still there? Oh my God, Chris, you're scaring me. Where'd you go? Okay,
I'm right
good.
here.
Okay, I don't know what happened to the screen, but all of a sudden it went blank. Okay,
Sorry.
so. Okay, yes, we're all still here. Great. Yes, we are going to, this is being recorded, and everyone will have access to this entire webinar. I'm going to be posting it later today and sending everyone a link to it. I know there's so much great information in here, so we don't want to lose out on that. I'm going to start off with the first question for you, Chris, so you might want to put it on that next slide where we get to see your mugshot and your headshot and how to contact you. Okay, first question comes to us from Dave. And while we have so many great questions from the audience, this one basically kind of sums it up. This one from Dave, does Google Places have phone support? Chris, we have so many questions about Google Places, and before we get to all those, this is probably the one that everyone really needs to know.
Yeah, that's actually a great and timely question. I know Google Places has been a thorn in a lot of dealer sides just in terms of trying to understand how to manage it. Recently, I want to say somewhere in mid-January, Google actually rolled out phone support for this service that they've been providing for the last few years. So if you just Google Google Places phone support, or again, if you're struggling to find it, if you just want to email me, chris@DealerOn.com, Google does now provide phone support. So there's someone to call, someone to answer on the other end if you're struggling with a particular issue that you're having. That's a great question, though.
Oh my gosh, it is. And let me tell you, we have a lot of people who could probably use it because a lot of our attendees have specific questions about something that happened to them. So for instance, Brian wrote in and he said, my results dropped tremendously for my local listing on February 20th, and I can't figure out why. Any clues?
I don't know specific answer. I have seen that people have reported that they have had dramatic changes in some cases to the number of impressions that their Places listing was receiving. So I guess I would ask whether he's seeing a change in the number of actions, the number of phone calls or directions or the traffic to his website coming from Google Places. If it's impressions, I'm not, and again, I have seen postings on boards, and I have seen examples where people have seen a dramatic drop in the number of impressions. I think it is probably something systemic in either how Google is reporting or when they are showing their the Places listings. So if he could follow in with a question, with with whether he is just seeing it in impressions or whether he's also seeing it in actions, then and he's certainly welcome to email me, and I can follow up with him about looking at his data.
Brian, believe me, you're in very good hands if you take Chris up on his offer. So, Brian, I hope that helps you out. You can contact him at chris@DealerOn.com. Okay, next question comes to us from Alex. He says, question, no matter how many times I update Google, it will not show our local number within Places. It shows our tracking number, which is the number that is on our website. And I have to tell you, he's not the only one. We've had a few different people who have had problems with showing the number. Courtney wrote in, Google keeps reverting our number back to a line we do not use. In the back end, I have the correct number. Any way to stop this from happening? Fallon said, what if our website lists our 800 tracking numbers and not a local number? And Christina, what if the phone number on our website is a tracking number? Should your Google Places number be a tracking number in that case? So there's lots of different dealerships that have the same question about the stinking phone number here. Local number's best? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, so a local number is preferable for your website. It's also preferable for your Places listing. If there are certainly phone providers that you can get who can provide a tracking number, so if all you're interested in is number of phone calls to either your dealership or through your Places listing, then you can get a local number that would be trackable but would also show the same on your dealership website as through your Places listing, which would be what I would recommend if you are over time tracking just the raw number of phone calls that are coming in to your website. I would not recommend having an 800 number on your Places page. I think we sort of discussed why that is best, at least from an optimization perspective. And again, I think that everyone needs to evaluate the value that they're getting out of and the business decisions that they're making with a tracking number for all of their website versus trying to optimize their Places listing with a local number. And the other question was about the number keeps reverting back to another number. That is exactly the sort of thing that Google has created their new phone support line to resolve. If people have specific questions like that where they are trying to use Google Places as it's intended, they're following all the rules and they are not getting the results that they're looking for, then please don't hesitate. Submit your inquiry to Google and you can get a phone number and actually reach out to them directly.
Great idea. Well, I had a lot of people Christina and Kristen and Fallon, and oh my gosh, so many people have that same problem. So hopefully you'll be able to find that solution quickly. And it's funny because while you were talking about it, lots of other people were writing and saying, I have that same problem. So it's rampant in our industry. We have to try and get that fixed because, of course, phone number is very, very important. Okay, Brian wrote in pretty early on about your heat map study. And
yes.
He was wondering, is that the most recent one you were able to find? Is 18 months old?
It is the most recent one that I'm aware of that specifically focused on local listings versus general organic listings. And to Brian's point, it probably is not completely applicable now because one of the differences between the visual for Google Local back then and now is that Google no longer has the little map pins that are associated with each of the places in their local 7-pack. Those are no longer red. Those are now sort of grayed out until you hover and click one of them. So I suspect that they probably don't get quite the same visual draw as they did when the study was conducted in late 2011. But I do think that the general research is going to stand that the local listing grouping like that is how Google is training people to use their local interface, and that it would not surprise me if it was nearly as powerful, the difference between between the intensity of people mousing over and viewing the local 7-pack versus the organic results at the top, which sort of get overwhelmed when you've got those listings grouped tightly together with all the little markers and the reviews.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. And thank you for that question, Brian. I want to get to this question. It's actually kind of the same question from two different people. First one is from Christina. She says, what if the phone number on your website is a tracking number? Should your Google Places number be a tracking number in that case? And Alex said, why would we want the number on the listings to match our websites? We want to, at a minimum, use tracking numbers on our websites, even though we shouldn't do it in Google Places. So can you just address that again, Chris? I mean, you are VP of Marketing and arguably know a lot about this stuff. So obviously we want the tracking number on there. So now we don't want the tracking number on there?
Sure, and again, it really comes down to what value are you getting out of having a tracking number on your website that tracks every call. So I can understand, and I strongly recommend that for any online form of marketing that you're doing, so you're doing paid search, you want to have tracking numbers for any of those campaigns so that you can see if you're spending $3,500 a month in paid search or any sort, banner campaign, anything like that. You can associate the activity that is being generated, both in terms of leads and in terms of phone calls that are associated with that campaign. If you've just got a tracking number on your website, that just tracks every single call that comes in, I guess I'm not sure, except for knowing that your calls are down or up generally, I'm not sure what business decisions, what marketing decisions you're going to make based on the aggregate number of all calls that are coming to your dealership in a particular time frame. Now, certainly to be able to associate those, to be able to follow up on all the calls, making sure that all of that information gets into your CRM so that you can track the efficiency of your sales processes and so forth. That's important. But if you're trying to understand the sheer volume of calls coming to your website and you're not distinguishing between the channels that are driving them to your website, and again, one of the reasons that I don't think that not knowing exactly which calls are coming from Google Places is not as important as clearly understanding the number of calls that are coming in from a paid search campaign, is that you're not going to spend any more or less money with Google Places because you're not spending any money with Google Places or Google Plus Local. So having an exact number of calls that is coming in from your listing is interesting. Google attempts to provide that information with their Google Places analytics dashboard, but unless you're going to make business decisions based on that, I'm not sure that it's more than an interesting data point.
Okay. Alex, did actually write back in, and he said he likes to break up the calls between sales and service and parts, and he also, I guess he's okay with putting the local number on Google Places, but what about the website? I mean, he still wants to have those tracking numbers on the website, I think.
Sure. So there are a couple of options. I would recommend that you have for one, you can put the local number in a less obvious place than on the home page, so that your Google Places number can still be associated with a local phone number associated with your website. And if Alex was the gentleman's name?
Yes, Chris, it's Alex.
So if Alex wants to shoot me an email, I can give him a couple of examples of how people have handled some of that. I'm not sure that I want to publicly recommend a course of action without knowing a little bit more about exactly how they're using the information at the dealership and what the alternatives might be for them.
Okay, great. Well, Alex, get in touch with Chris. Okay, I'm going to get to this next question, which came in from Fallon, and she says, is there a way to list different hours of operation for different departments in the dealership? For instance, sales versus service. And I actually know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw it over to you. Unless you want me to answer it.
Eliana, go ahead.
One
I'm having
thing
a
that
sip
I
of
know.
coffee.
Okay, you have a sip of coffee. Fallon, yes, there is. Right in the section where it asks you to fill in your hours, if you look just below it but above the next section, there's a little checkbox that says that you would like to put 2 different sets of hours. So you just click that checkbox and then you can put a different set of hours in there for another part of your department. So Fallon, I hope that helped you out. Next question comes to us from Dave, and he says, when will Google make it easier to work with this site? It seems you can't breathe on it without having to go through the postcard caper, as he calls it. So I don't know if you have that kind of information. I know we know a lot of people over at Google, Chris, but I don't know if you know exactly when.
And you know, Google's aware that all of these things are you know, ongoing pain points for everyone. And again, that's why, you know, Google Places has been out there for quite a while, and it's just been in the last couple months that Google has decided that the pain of everyone, that, you know, that they're obligated to provide phone support for this, and they're trying to, Google is doing a number of things. I know that they believe that the Places and the Google Plus Local is a huge strategic imperative for them with the onset of mobile. I suspect that in a few years Google sort of views them as all converging and probably being one of their biggest business lines. So Google is going to provide more and more attention to this, and it should become easier and easier to deal with these challenges. I know that they've had this service, this opportunity to market your dealership for quite a while without providing this, so people may be a little skeptical about whether they're as committed as they have made indications that they are recently. But I would reach out to Google over the phone and see what sort of recommendations you can get from them. And it is true the postcard process can be painful, but you know, it only happens once if you're fortunate, unless you move like we just did. But
oh, did we have to do it again?
Of course.
Oh,
of course.
jeez.
No one is immune.
Well, there you have it. Dave, I hope that helps you out. Okay, Ray wrote in. He says, Yext also provides a place for menus, staff bios, calendars, and products and services. Will filling in this info help in optimizing?
So that is a great question. I don't know. I haven't seen studies that have shown that to be the case, but I do know that the more information that you have on each one of those directories that Google can validate ties out to your website and your Places listing, the more credible they find the information at that citation. So as we were talking about before, if you can match up all of these citation directories and have uniform information about your dealership across them, the more information you have and the more uniform it is, the more credible all of your local footprint becomes from Google's perspective. So they also have, you know, Yext provides a lot of helpful information, and getlisted.org also has a similar service. I would suggest that dealers who are looking to scale rapidly for some of their local directory information, at least check those services out. That's a great point there, Ray.
Thank you very much for that, Ray. And thank you, Chris. Okay, great question came to us from Larry. So Larry wants to know, at the end of your presentation, Chris, you talked about merging your Google Places and your Google Plus. So do you recommend merging those two accounts?
I do, with a couple of caveats. One is that you make sure that the person who is going to be associated with the dealership is of some prominence. You don't want to be in a situation where someone who potentially isn't going to be at your dealership in 6 months is now in control of all of that. Also, a number of businesses across all industries have had some challenges with reviews and ensuring that all of that information got matched up correctly. If you have specific questions and you're contemplating doing it, you want to shoot me an email. I can send you several links to best practices for going through the merge process, and it will also point out some of the challenges that other businesses have had in doing it, so that you can ensure that you at least don't have those challenges as you prepare to go through it.
That's very nice of you, Chris. Okay, Larry, great question. Follow-up question came in from Andrew about the same subject. He said, how do you go about separating your Google Plus from your Google Places once it is linked? Seem to have issues with multiple place pages. Will this be corrected when they review it in the future?
Wow. I have not worked with anyone who was going through that process, so I don't know the answer to that. I can definitely, if you said it was Andrew?
Andrew, yes.
If Andrew wants to reach out to me, I can try and assist him with at least identifying some resources for trying to unclog his problem there. Also, as I said, if he hasn't taken the opportunity to reach out to Google's Places phone support, I would suggest he do that as well.
Yeah, Andrew, I think that might be something you have to do. Okay, well, good luck with that, Andrew. I wish you all the best on that one. Okay, let's go to this great question we have from Jason. So he says, so how frequently has Google changed major parameters of Google local pages? And I have to tell you, Jason, when I was just at NADA, I had the pleasure of speaking with a few of the people from Google who came by to say hi to me, and they were letting me in on some of the major changes that have just gone down from Google. And yeah, they make changes all the time. And they make changes, and then as the new changes take effect, they're already working on the next round of changes. So, Chris, what do you have to say about that?
Well, as I was saying, Google, they have become, much more transparent with their updates. However, they aren't as, they're not as proactive as we would all love for them to be. They may not understand that particular changes that they're making may have dramatic impacts on some of the the local businesses and particularly car dealers. So what I would say, and that's why a lot of the advice that I've been giving with the Google Places setup, there are probably cases where people right now are quote unquote spamming their categories, and it's working for them. My recommendation, though, is, in Google, I don't anticipate that Google will put out a press release that says, by the way, if you have been spamming your categories pages, on May 1st you better stop, because we're coming out with an update that's going to, put you in a box. So, it is important for us to try and anticipate where Google is going, and with the places listing, that's why I suggest that you adhere to their policies as closely as you can. And like I was mentioning, Matt Cutts alluded to, he's Google's head of spam, basically. He's runs the, I think it's officially called like the website spam team. But Matt alluded at South by Southwest last week to the idea that this year Google might be incorporating some of the feedback that they get for consumers in terms of merchants and their ratings for how prominently or perhaps even whether they're going to show certain merchants for certain categories. So I'm not sure that I'd seen that before, and that's one of the reasons why it is important that even if Google Places doesn't change over time, we keep up to date with how Google handles the information that's in Google Places over time.
Huh. Okay, well, since we're talking about and by the way, thank you so much for that question, Jason. Since we're talking about categories, I want to take this question from Eric. He said, is it really more advantageous to choose a category like auto repair rather than more frequently searched terms like tire dealer or oil change?
Well, one of the things that Google has suggested is that broader categories can benefit you. So even if a particular description of what your dealership or your even your service center does might have more raw searches on it, if it is encompassed within a broader category, then the broader category may be the better option for you. So their categories don't necessarily tie out to specific. For instance, I'm sure that there are many more searches for oil change than there are for auto repair, but to the extent that people, or I can't remember if it's auto service department, whatever the precise text is for Google's category for service department business, the broader the category, it seems to be the more qualified traffic you will tend to get from Google's Places.
Okay. It's such a balancing act, so tricky. I mean, between that and the phone numbers, and Richard wants to know, should they have a local and a tracking number on the Places page? Or Chris, isn't there only one spot to put a phone number? There's not two spots, is there?
Yeah, your phone number, Google asks for your phone number. They don't ask for a tracking number to associate with it, and it's a limitation, but it's one that I would advise that people live with if they can.
Huh. Okay. All right. Let's see. This is a great question from, wow, we have a lot of really good questions. Let's get this one from James. James says, we advertise as Findlay North Volkswagen, but our website is findlaynorthvw.com. Is that a problem? Also, could we promote another Google page as gonorthvw.com with our same info, or would that be a problem as well?
Okay, so let me address the second one first because I remember it. Assuming that it's a place, it's the same place, the same physical location that you're doing business out of, Google is extremely clear in their guidelines for places that you are to have one place listing for one physical local business. Now they provide some guidelines if another business is doing business out of a broader business, like if you're a Starbucks operating inside a grocery store. But The question I think I'm being asked about just creating a second places listing because you have a second website that you could fill in, that specifically violates Google's places guidelines. Also, you're going to be splitting your reviews among those places. So one of the things that you want to do is even though Google at this point does not seem to be providing a tremendous optimization benefit for having 300 reviews versus 30 reviews, right. They do seem to have. I'm not even sure that they will actually show your average review score until you have 10 reviews. So I believe if a dealer has 9 reviews or less, that they just show the number of reviews, but they don't actually show your overall rating. And that seems to be one of the inflection points for optimization.
So we're clear, just so we're clear, if you should only have one Google Places page for every physical location. But on that Google Places page, you can promote all these different websites, like Findlay North Volkswagen and Findlay North VW and GoNorthVW.com. No?
No. So for a particular physical location that you do business out of, which is what Google Places is all about, Google would like you to have one website that you associate with that physical location. It's fine if you have a second website. In fact, that website, if you're well optimized, that website can rank for those search terms outside of the local. So you know how we were looking at like the local 7-pack. It's possible to have that website rank in the natural search results listings, while your website associated with your Google Places ranks within the places area, the sort of local map functionality. And what was the first question again? Or was that it?
Well, he said that so the name of the company is Findlay North Volkswagen.
Okay.
Right? And that's how they advertise themselves. But their website is Findlay North VW.
Okay.
And then the one that they always promote is GoNorthVW.com.
Gotcha. So it would be ideal if the name of the business and the website had the same, had either VW or Volkswagen. But what is more important is that the name of the business that it actually operates under and the matches, and so whatever is in Google Places matches the name of the business, and that the URL listed in the Google Places listing matches the website that they want associated with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if that's too confusing and he wants to reach out to me directly, that's fine.
No, because it's spurning a lot of other questions from the audience. So James, I hope you got it, because I'm still getting it. Okay, because Aaron followed up with, along those lines, we have 2 franchises under one roof, and Google sees us as one business. So do we need 2 Google Places pages, even if, they're at the same address, but they're 2 totally different things. If they sell Nissan and they sell Jeep, I'm just giving that as an example. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And then Mariah has the same problem. She says, we have 3 different brands with 3 different websites, but we're all at the same location. They have a Jaguar, they have a Land Rover, they have Volvo. Is there any way to add the 2 additional websites? Should they have 3 different pages? They can't have 3 different pages.
You can't have 3 different places pages, or you can create 3 different places pages. You're going to start running into the challenges that people have been describing, where their reviews don't show on their primary places listing. There are a number of challenges with trying to not follow what Google is providing as their guidelines for using places. So the ideal setup for the dealer, and I know this is not what they would want to have happen, but is to have one places listing associated with one website, and in the categories that they are choosing for the business, for that place, they select as many of those options. So without off the top of my head, I can't remember whether Jaguar dealer is one of Google's pre-defined categories or not.
Right.
I can't remember what the other manufacturers you named were, but
Land Rover and Volvo, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure both of those are. So you select as many of those that actually apply to your location as possible, and if there are too many for the category listings, and you get additional ones if you combine it with your Google Plus local account. You want to use Google's predefined categories, and if you can't fit them in there, make sure that you incorporate that language in your business description and add it in the additional details about your dealership as well. But unfortunately, Google has a platform that isn't, that they roll out that is for all businesses. Some that don't even serve customers at their specific place of business. So, Google is trying to serve millions of different local merchants and hundreds of millions of consumers, and their platform for doing it doesn't always fit very neatly with the realities of the dealership world.
Right, right. But I like what you said earlier. If you have all these different domain names, but they're all going to kind of the same place or the same place, then just put one, right? That's what you said earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Google is very clear about how to set up your places.
Right. Okay, James, Aaron, Mariah, and everyone else out there who has questions about multiple dealership, sales at the same physical location and how many different websites. I hope that helped you out. Okay. Oh, phew, I'm exhausted. Okay. Great question came in from John. He says, Chris, what is your recommendation for setting the distance for doing business in your area? I believe that was one of the things you said we could do, right? We could set the...
It is something you can do. I haven't seen, I don't know of anybody who has been specifically penalized for it. I'm sure that there are plenty of dealers that receive value from doing it. So my one comment generally on doing it is that it would not shock me if at some point in the future that was one of those things that Google decided was spammy, and they certainly won't make a public pronouncement that, we know because you've chosen 5 categories that you're a car dealer, and we know that car dealers should be operating at a specific business location and not suggesting that they are serving people at their residence. However, if you are going to select the service areas, then I would incorporate you can either incorporate specific cities or a radius that you feel comfortable that your dealership actually serves. Again, the challenge that we're dealing with here is clearly dealers serve a much larger radius. In some rural cases, they may serve people who are hundreds of miles away.
Right.
But Google Local is not, or Google Places, whatever you want to refer to this particular aspect of it, is not, it's not tailored to each individual case. Google has a platform that doctors can use, that dentists can use, that all sorts of different verticals can use. So I would recommend that if you are going to select a service area and you're going to use a radius, that you use one that you actually do sell vehicles within or service vehicles within.
Don't just automatically pick 300 miles.
Yeah, and go from there.
Okay. John, I hope that helps you out. We're down to the last few questions now. Travis, I'm getting to your question finally. Here we go. This question came in from Travis. He says, do your Google Places and your Google Plus accounts have to be done under the same Google account? I have several dealerships' Places accounts under one Google login, but how would I create a Google Plus account and merge for each? That sounds complicated, Travis.
So I think so. Google does now allow multiple people who have been validated to access a Places account, but obviously that's not the case for the Google Plus. If you said the gentleman's name was
Travis.
Travis?
Yes.
If Travis wants to email me the particulars, I'd like to know a little bit more about his particular role at the dealership, and just so I don't want to steer him the wrong way with the advice there, because that's an important transition.
Yeah. It's funny because, Chris, I know you said earlier that when you're that it's great to merge those two, the Google Plus and the Google Places, but you really have to have it under like a GM's name or an owner's name, and those aren't the guys who are usually doing this.
Of course.
You know,
and that's why you just want to make sure that that you completely are aware of all of the things that could go wrong before you make the decision to do it. It's dealerships who do it and who are active and who are aggressive and smart about using Google Plus Local. They are going to have a distinct advantage, but anybody who messes up is going to be in much worse shape than they might have, than they would have been had they done nothing.
Right.
And so it's important to understand everything that you need to be managing when you go through that process.
I have to say, I remember that used to be that if you had a Google Places page, one of the better things you could do for your optimization was make it an owner-verified listing. Is that a change that they made? Do they still have that owner-verified listing?
No, that's so when we're talking about people verifying and validating,
yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think at this point probably 80 to 90% of dealer Places listings are validated and verified. And I think we were saying that it was probably like 85% of the folks on the webinar today were confident that they had gone through that process.
Yeah,
so,
86, yeah.
So I think at this point most folks have done that. The question, and again I was mentioning that from anecdotally it looks like probably 20 to 25% of dealers have actually merged a Google Plus account with their Places, and I'm sure that they are getting real value out of doing it. Anyone who hasn't had huge problems.
Right, right. Okay, well, we are way over time, but I do want to get to these last two comments that we have here. Travis, I hope that helped you out. Richard wrote in, he's sorry. He's still confused over there. He says, my Places page allows me to have my local number and my 866 number. Is that not an ideal thing to do?
So they provide you with one primary phone number that will be shown for your listing, and that needs to be your local phone number of your dealership, and hopefully matches whatever is on your website as well.
Right, because that's the whole point, is to have it so that it matches with all those other directories that you have to go and make sure your listing is appropriate on, and then you get better optimization when it all matches, right?
That's correct.
That's the whole point of this whole exercise. So you can put whatever number you want, but if you want it better optimized, now you know what you have to do. Okay, Travis said he emailed you, by the way. Richard, thanks for such a great question. And I'm going to give the last statement to our attendee named Jason. He says, can you guys please do a quarterly or even monthly webinar focusing on Google Places, because I think it changes so quickly we can't keep up, and it's so important for our businesses. Thank you so much. Jason, Thank you so much. I do appreciate the feedback on there. So what do you think, Chris? Should we do another one of these in another few months? See what's changed, what we can update? Are these
Sure.
good people on?
Not a problem, and especially if, like I said, if Google does something really dramatic, like Matt Cutts was sort of suggesting was coming on the horizon, then it would probably be appropriate for us to put something together at that point.
I agree. Chris, amazing webinar filled with so many important things. Thank you so much on behalf of all of our audience members. I know they appreciate it, and as do I, because you don't know how many requests I've gotten for a Google Places webinar. So people out there, I agree with Chris. We're going to try and see if we can get another one for you in the next few months so that we can keep you as updated as possible on this very important topic. Chris, great job. That was a really great presentation.
Hey, thank you very much, everyone. I appreciated your time, and like I said, if you have any challenges, you need any specific help, don't hesitate reaching out to me, and have a great day.
Yeah, that's Chris at DealerOn.com. We're always here to help our people. So I want to, of course, remind the audience that a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed to you in just a few hours. You're going to be able to use that for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. All you have to do is go to DealerOn.com/webinars, and on the right-hand side, look for the link that says On-Demand Webinars. You can see our past webinars and view our upcoming webinar schedule too. And don't forget, this webinar is going to conclude in just a minute, and please, you're going to receive a short survey. Look over that survey. It's very short, very easy. Fill it out. We're always looking for great feedback. Please let Chris know what an awesome job he did today. And we're also going to pick a couple of people who have completed the surveys to also win some Google prizes. So if you want to be considered for that, well, you got to fill out the survey. And, oh man, I am so excited to tell you about this. Invitations are going to be going out for our next webinar. Are you ready, Chris? Our next week's webinar, Dominate Your Market, People, Processes, and Practices. Do you know how to dominate your market? Well, Grant Cardone does, and he's going to tell you how. Oh yeah, I worked long and hard to get Grant Cardone to do a very rare appearance on a webinar with me. He does not do a lot of webinars, my friend, but he's doing one for us at DealerOn. And so Grant Cardone is going to tell you how to dominate your market. And his name is synonymous with automotive excellence, business success, and the most effective sales strategies around. And in this webinar appearance, Grant's going to share the many things you can do to still achieve amazing success even in this harsh economy. So are you looking to get optimum results out of your people, your processes, and your practice? Well, then it goes without saying, this is one presentation you can't afford to miss. It'd be another fabulous presentation by us, your friends at DealerOn. And don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And you can also catch DealerOn at the upcoming eDealer Summit in Minneapolis on April 10th. And we're going to be alongside other amazing speakers such as Grant Cardone and also Peter Lito, who's from Google. So for more information on that, you can check out eDealerSummit.com. And we have some awesome webinar subjects and speakers planned for this year. But if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars or our topics, feel free to contact me directly. My name is Eliana Raggio. I love hearing from you. You can email me at eliana@DealerOn.com. Track me down online. I am absolutely everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, all the automotive social networks, and I love hearing from you. So thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one, and take care.